I stood up for you, knowing I might never have the chance to show my heart in ways that others learn to take for granted. And now I am asking you, will you be with me? Will you see me through when the world is harsh? Can I count on you? We have come this far. Now it's up to you to be there. For this you don't understand. You ask why I feel so strongly about holding up this love in front of everyone around me, because I am asking you, will you be with me? Will you see me through when the world is harsh? Can I count on you? We have come this far. Now it's up to you to be there. For this every day we're beaten up or killed for simply showing that we've reached inside ourselves and found the deepest love we've ever known. Can we depend on you? Will you be with me? Will you see me through when the world is harsh? Can I count on you? We have come this far. Now it's up to you to be there. Will you be with me? Will you see me through when the world is harsh? Can I count on you? We have come this far. Now it's up to you to be there. For this for this
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Silver Spring. My name is Bonnie Gallion, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am this morning's worship associate. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or on Zoom, I'm so glad you joined us today. From a diversity of cultures, sexualities, genders, spiritualities, and beliefs, we come together into one congregation. Here, we are always growing, always learning, and always loved, whether you're young, old, or in between, whether you arrived by walking, rolling, or logging in, and you came wearing dress clothes or shorts and flip-flops, we're glad you are here. And we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. If you're visiting with us for the first time or second time, or if you'd like to learn about how to join our church, you can find Ryan Smith, our welcoming captain, after today's service, and he's right there in the back waving. This morning, we're gathered for a service about rainbows, the spaces between and the pronouns and LGBTQ joy in honor of National Coming Out Day, which is coming up later this month. People of all ages are always welcome in this space, and we have a nursery open downstairs in our administration building that's across the courtyard to your right as you exit the sanctuary building. And kids and teens are invited to head out to the worship breakout groups about halfway through the service to head over to their secret superhero fortress hideaway, otherwise known as the Fellowship House. Now it's time to greet our neighbors. Everyone in the sanctuary, please wave to the camera to your right and greet those who are joining us virtually. All right. Yes. All right. Now, everyone on Zoom, it's your chance to turn on your camera and wave. As those on Zoom greet one another in the chat, I invite everyone here in the sanctuary to get up and greet one another. In a meeting or two, the music will start, and that's our cue to go back to our seats and sing the opening hymn. The words to all hymns will be on the screen.
It is what it is. It is what it is. That's how it goes.
You know, it's up and down.
Right. Yeah. So. Okay. We can do that. Yes. Let's sing along with me. Number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. And your eyes as well. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Third verse is the second line. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of that change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Big clap here. And enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Woo.
Good morning, y'all. I am the Reverend Caitlin Cotter Coillberg, pronouns she, her, hers. I am your minister of spiritual growth. And on this National Coming Out Day, this celebration of courage and truth and change, you are invited in. Come in, beloveds. Come into love, come into warmth and welcome, come into tender, aching hope. Whatever brought you to this sanctuary today, we hold the heavy and the buoyant together with you. whatever is arising in you, we witness the glory of your becoming. May we be fierce together in this space, fierce for joy, fierce for our shifting, growing understanding, fierce for each other. May we rest in this time together and gather ourselves to come out once again on the side of love, of joy, of all our beautiful rainbow truths. Enter, rejoice, and come in, beloveds. We are glad that you are here. Come, let us worship together. And we're going to light our chalice with the words on our screen. I was just telling Steve about how I used to have to do the tech while I was preaching sometimes during the pandemic. It's always complicated. Yes. All right, chalice lighting. All right, Bonnie, would you light our chalice for us? And let us say together these words. May this light warm our hearts with love and caring and guide us in our ways of truth and our congregational commitment. As we gather here for worship, we pledge ourselves to the endless search for truth, to the right of each to believe as mind, heart, and conscience dictate, to accept the responsibilities this freedom commands, and to implement our belief in the essential worth and dignity of every human being.
Kindle a spark, fragile, full of power. Hold it in your hand, hold it in your heart. Let it warm you, let it fire your spirit. Let it burn bright, let it burn bright in your soul. Kindle a spark, fragile, full of power. Hold it in your hand, hold it in your heart.
So today I wanted to share with you a book I read to my own children, a story about being who you are by Arlie Anderson called Neither. So generally I ask you to stay in your seat, but if anyone would like to come forward, we're gonna have the pictures on the screen, but you're also invited to come forward because we're gonna sing Rainbow Connection after this and have like a little dance party. So if any young at heart, rainbowy-tastic folks of any sort would like to come forward, you are welcome. Any kids at heart, dancers? Oh, all right. Here we go. So it has been said that once upon a time there were two kinds. I'm gonna wait for us to advance one slide forward. There we are. There were two kinds, this and that. If you can't see the picture, these are represented here by bunnies and some form of chicken, perhaps. All right. These or those, one or the other until honk. Someone new was born. "What are you?" the others asked, and the new one said joyfully, "I'm both." "You can't be both. You must be neither," said the gathered crowd. And the meany parts crowd said, "Why don't you go find somewhere else?" Next slide, please. Thank you. "Why, you aren't one of us. Why don't you go somewhere else?" And taunted our friend away with jeers of neither, neither, neither. Our friend traveled far and found themselves in a new place. Suddenly they were startled with a voice from the tree asking, "Where did you come from?" "Honk," responded our friend, then replied sadly, "I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither, so I'm looking for somewhere else." And the curious purple cat butterfly creature that had found our friend said, "Well, this isn't somewhere else, but you well fit in here." "Where is here?" said our friend neither. And we turn our page, and oh my gosh, they had found themselves in the land of all, is what that yellow sign reads. And if you see, there's all sorts of interesting creatures playing interesting games. And our friend neither declares, "Oh, so many different kinds." And we turn the page, and we see a rainbow of creatures saying, "Come play with us." "But," said neither, "I am different from all of you. I am neither red or orange or blue or purple." And we turn the page to see the rainbow of creatures saying, "Exactly." Yay. And two new creatures appeared. They said, "We are from the land of this and that, but we don't fit in at home. We're looking for somewhere else." And I imagine at this point that they had a touching conversation that included apologies and forgiveness, because on the next page, we see neither standing on their head, joyfully proclaiming, "This isn't somewhere else. This is the land of all, and everyone fits in here." I know, I love the fish talk. So we turn to the next page, and we see, "Once upon a time, there were many kinds, this and that, somewhat and whatnot, either very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither, and both." And as we turn the page, we see that all were welcome. Hey! So I have some rainbow streamers, and as we pass those out, getting ready for our song, can we go back to that slide for just a second, please? Because I want those in their seats to have a moment to find your favorite creature. You're out too much. Okay, there we are. All right, so as we pass out streamers, I invite you to look at the screen and figure out which character you would most want to be friends with. This is my eldest favorite part. Who would you want to be friends with?
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing? And what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Sing along, sing out. Is this the sweet song that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La 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 la.
So now it's time for joys and sorrows, and that was a great joy for me. Can I just say, I love being a Unitarian Universalist, and that was reminding me of, do you remember the day when marriage equality passed in the Supreme Court? It was General Assembly when that happened. So I was in a hall with like 3,000 Unitarian Universalists when the news came in, and I remember they were like, and would anyone who is affected by this news, and I was engaged at the time, and I just remember like sprinting through the hall because they invited us all forward with my like scarf behind me, and then standing on the stage with a bunch of LGBTQ beloveds, and we were all just weeping, and everyone in the hall was weeping, and sometimes I just really, really love our faith. So now, sometimes it's time for joys and sorrows when we practice vulnerability and compassion as a community. Not all joys and sorrows are things we may wish to share with a lot of people, and I hope everyone knows that the lay ministry team and I are here to listen and support if you'd like some one-on-one time with your joy or sorrow. And some joys are so wonderful, and some sorrows so heavy, so milestones so big that we'd like the whole community to know. So if you have something to share, please form a line down this aisle. Remember, we want to be aware and keep our ASL interpreter visible. So if you have something on your heart or mind today, I invite you to come down the chalice line. Please remember to say your name and pronouns and to speak clearly into the microphone. You have to talk into it like it's an ice cream cone a little bit so we can hear you. And after each person shares, we invite you to join in saying, In every joy and sorrow, we are held in love beyond belief.
My name is Michelle Levesque, and I flew in last night from Geneva, and I'm here for a month. And I'm doing a little bit of traveling in between, but hopefully I will see you all back here another Sunday, because this is my first non-Christmas service Sunday in a few years. So I'm thrilled to be back and good to see everybody. And hopefully some of you online, I'll see you in service.
Welcome home.
You all have been surrounding me and our family for a long time, a couple of years, and most recently with the passing of my partner, my friend, and my wife, Jan. And so many different kinds of help you have offered. Last week, parking, ushering, just holding us aloft in so many ways. I can't even name them, but I just am here to say thank you. Thank you again to this community, to all the friends we have here, for your shared love and our shared sorrow. I appreciate it so deeply. Thank you again. Just thank you.
Every joy and sorrow, we are held in love. And with all that spoken and all that remains unspoken, we invite you now into the time of silence, and we will move from silence into singing. So let us breathe in and breathe out as we join in a moment of quiet together, grateful for the sounds of life all around us. If you have suffered a deep loss in the past year, I invite you to stand or raise your hand during the silence so that the congregation can bear witness to your grief.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? You were deeply more connected to my soul.
I offer you these words by the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. They teach us to read in black and white Truth is this, the rest false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth in many hues. We are taught to think in either or, to believe the teachings of Jesus or Buddha, to believe in human potential or a power beyond a single will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center. So the margins hold the center, and we hold all the children and youth of this congregation in our hearts, even when you are over in the fellowship house doing awesome Superhero Academy improv theater activities with Supernome. So kids, it is indeed time for worship breakout groups. If you would like to go with Sarah and our team of teachers in that direction, now is that time. Parents and guardians of these precious ones, please remember to head over and pick them up at 11:45-ish. Thank you, and please join me in singing our time. Oh, there we go. Our time together is
All right, we're going to do a responsive reading. So I'm going to say my part, and then you're going to say your part, and hopefully these words will show up. There they are. All right, here we go. We are grateful for the gift of our lives and the gift of other people in our lives. We are called to love one another and respect each other, to act from compassion and empathy and humility. Our common life is enriched when queer, transgender, intersex, asexual, questioning, bisexual, lesbian, gay folks, and all members of the LGBTQA+ community can come out, sharing the gifts of their orientation and gender. We suffer when LGBTQ people are oppressed, excluded, or shamed by religious people who overlook the fundamental call to love one another. Love is not excluded. We are all worthy. May we work to build a world where all people are celebrated and loved.
So my little sister called me on Friday night to tell me a new word my nephew came up with, rainbowy-tastic. Rainbow-tastic. I love it. That's a big part of what I hope our congregation, our faith tradition can be, rainbowy-tastic. A little low-key version of the land of all from the story I read earlier in the service. A place where we can welcome and be welcomed, inviting each other into play and connection and belonging. Where we can find that rainbow connection that Kermit sang about in 1979 and has sung so many since then. How many of you saw that original Muppet movie in the theaters? Right? And Michael, you were telling me you saw it like 8 times in a row, right? One day, 8 times in a row. I love that. It's so cool. And I cannot believe that it is entirely a coincidence that this wonderful song about rainbow connections and lovers and dreamers came out just 1 year after the first rainbow flag was unveiled as a symbol of pride. The Muppet movie, all about belonging and joy and connection and rainbows and finding your people, came out the summer right after Harvey Milk. Y'all remember San Francisco? Yeah, city supervisor, first openly gay official in the history of California, after he requested that artist Gilbert Baker come up with a symbol for the San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Parade of 1978. Baker, an openly gay man and a drag queen, later said in an interview, "Our job as gay people was to come out, to be visible, to live in the truth, as I say, to get out of the lie." A flag really fit that mission because that's a way of reclaiming your visibility or saying, "This is who I am." He wanted the symbol to be something natural, something from the sky. So his original hand-sewn rainbow flag had 8 colors for the stripes, right? Each color with its own meaning. Hot pink for sex, red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, turquoise for art, indigo for harmony, and violet for spirit. Now, for a lot of us younger folks, rainbows meaning pride is just part of the landscape. I know, right? We can't forget. You're absolutely right. We cannot forget that this is part of our history, that there was a moment where rainbows and rainbow flags specifically started to be part of the celebration of LGBTQ plus identities. I love that this wonderful Kermit song celebrating rainbows happened the very next year. And I wish he was right that there were so many songs about rainbows that it was something to complain about. But this wonderful rainbow-tastic song, and I love that the rainbow flag itself has been changing and shifting ever since. He changed it the next year. I think the next year is when he took the pink off and changed some of those meanings. I love that it keeps changing, that we continue to celebrate not just pride, but a changing understanding of what pride, of what coming out means. It's good that this keeps changing for a lot of reasons, right? Like, I love that it has changed, and now in a lot of states you can't be fired for coming out as gay. I love that in some states you can't even be denied housing for being gay. So it's good that it's not so scary anymore for lots of folks to come out as gay or bisexual or transgender or asexual, whatever rainbow-tastic way. The work of solidarity and community and liberation is always the work of coming forward into new understandings. And it's the work of reclaiming as well, right? Sometimes reclaiming pieces of heritage lost to the violence of colonialism, sometimes reclaiming things that had been thrown at us in violence, and reclaiming those as words of care. Like the word queer, for example. This is a word I use with care because it's been used to hurt so many people, but it's an important word for me and for many. I will never forget the first time I encountered this word. I used to hang out in the old 301.4157 LGBTQ plus section of my undergraduate college library, because for me this was the sensible way to research like lesbian fashion and such things. And one day, as I leaned against the sharp edges of those metal shelves, I read my first book of queer theory. And reading about this term that defied definitions and limitations, that united and transformed and encompassed, I felt myself uncurl and breathe deep. Now, according to seminary professor Dr. Patrick S. Chang, the word queer has three meanings. First, it serves as an umbrella term, a simpler way of saying lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, polyamorous, intersex questioning, and anyone else who identifies as non-normal, as well as our self-proclaimed allies. Second, it can be used as a verb to mean a transgressive action. So, for example, I queered the play Romeo and Juliet in college when I produced and directed a version in which both Romeo and Juliet were girls who used she, her pronouns. A couple queered Star Wars when the apparently male person dressed up as Princess Leia and the apparently female person dressed up as Han Solo. We queer religion when we begin to question, to complexify, to expand who belongs and who is welcome, and to say we do not welcome behaviors or words that belittle or bully, that when we become fierce in how we care for each other in our spaces and our communities. And third, queer can liberate us from division. It shines a rainbow light over all, declaring that love is a many-gendered thing. It shines a rainbow light over all. Finding the queer movement, the queer identity, for me was a lot like learning about our Unitarian Universalist Side with Love campaign. Both answer a simple question with profound clarity. Yes. What are you doing? We are answering the call of love. We are siding with love. What are you? I am queer. I am myself, one part of this vast, interconnected rainbow of human existence and expression. I am fluid and glorious and individual. This word sings in my bones of possibility and promise and belonging, of unity in the face of hate and bigotry and intolerance. It's one of my favorite rainbowy-tastic words. I've gained other rainbow words since then, just like I've gained new fashion accessories since I got my first rainbow flag belt at the Lamba Rising bookstore. Who remembers Lamba Rising, right? That used to anchor DuPont Circle as a gay neighborhood. I'm glad we've got new stores that center the works of gay and lesbian, and I still miss that store. I've got a lot of rainbow clothing now, found lots of new ways to celebrate the rainbow flag, that celebration of spectrum and difference. The pride flag, in its original and its newer forms, is not exclusive. Those of us who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, straight, asexual, pansexual, polyamorous, cisgendered, femme, and butch, and non-gender conforming, and beyond are a part of the spectrum of humanity. The rainbow can be a reminder that we are all connected in our vast diversity and plurality. That flag is an invitation not just to come out, but to come in and rebel against labels that don't fit, against categories drawn too tightly, against arbitrary gender roles and harsh assumptions and oppressive hate. As one of my favorite hymns proclaims, and we'll sing it in a bit, we are gay and straight together. Almost all of us are some combination of both those things. Each of us are gay and straight together. We are man or woman or man and woman or neither of those. We are young and old. We are this land of many colors. We are, each and every one of us, complicated, right? Full of glorious complexity, unique and multifaceted. This is why it always really irritated me. Do you remember there was a trend for a while where like gay people go around with a thing and be like, well, what did you learn? You were straight. And I was like, I see what you're doing. And also, like, that's a real question. Each of us has a journey where we discovered or learned about or explored our own gender or had it a little bit forced on us, right? People telling us what it meant to be a girl or a boy or a non-binary person or whatever. Each of us has a story. Each of us is complex and complicated and multifaceted. And I love that this is history that is ongoing, both our personal histories and our shared history, that we are part of a community that is always asking us to keep stretching and learning and loving. Because love is a verb, just like queer can be. We love each other and ourselves by continuing to learn, by taking on new challenges. This is why we're offering Adult OWL starting in January, right? Because we acknowledge that all of us are still learning and growing and living our lives in all of that rich, complicatedness, right? And part of the work of LGBTQ liberation, too, of the queer movement is queering this idea of gender, not just for those of us who maybe identify outside of those roles, but for all of us, right? We're healing the pain and damage of weird colonial ideas of two fixed genders with specific roles, with specific contrived and often limited ways of being, of dressing, right? Doe Paoletti isn't here today, but she wrote a whole book about this weird gendered clothing thing. The idea of man and woman as something definite and biological and separate is a really modern idea. And it's a modern idea with a lot of violence behind it, right? Especially you can see this when you think about like our continent, yeah? How colonialism intentionally tried on this conflict as part of the genocide against our indigenous people to eradicate the genders that were expressed in many of the genders on this continent, the two-spirit identities on this continent. And then places like Hawaii, where we had the mahu, and multiple gendered understandings and cultures around the world. There are 8 genders in the Jewish Talmud, right? Like the idea of 2 genders is this one specific violent colonial idea that is part of the violence of our modern history, right? So when we use our pronouns in church, when we listen to each other, when we go out and learn more about the postmodern understandings we have of these ancient understandings we have of sexuality and gender, right? We are rebelling against that violence. This is part of our anti-racist post-colonial work, looking at how we have been complicit in that history of colonial violence as those who live the legacies of Unitarians and Universalists, and that's a whole other sermon, sorry. For me, the rainbow is a symbol of healing, though, I will say. It's a declaration to each other that we promise to keep moving forward with love, even when that's difficult or uncomfortable or awkward, because healing wounds and growing together after a painful past is always going to be difficult and uncomfortable and sometimes awkward. That doesn't mean it's not also fun, right? Who's been to Pride, right? Who's been to Pride? Pride is fun, right? Pride is fun. If you've ever been to, you know it's a whole lot of fun. And coming out can be fun too, even as it's scary. Even thinking about our pronouns can be fun. One of my favorite pronoun stories is of a self-identified, middle-aged, cisgender man. Cisgender means you identify with the gender that they put on your birth certificate, right? Just that simple. Who was asked casually while chatting with someone what his pronouns were. "Oh," he said, "he, his." And the person who asked nodded and continued the conversation. And the man went home from that party giddy, feeling more seen and respected than he had in years. He knew that he could have said anything in that moment and been accepted, and it made him look at himself again in a new light. He said it made his gender identity feel less of a box, because less of a restriction, because in that moment it wasn't assumed. I love that. That's what I want for all of us, to be seen and accepted and loved and known for who we are and who we are becoming. To have the grace, too, the grace of that man who took the question seriously. He took the question seriously and answered it earnestly. Yes, indeed, we celebrate the earnestness and the grace of that man who let himself be seen and known and let himself be open to seeing and knowing himself in a new way there. It takes courage to be earnest and kind and truthful and curious with ourselves and each other. And it is worth it. This courage is worth it. It is needed. It is so needed. Y'all know how awful things are becoming, again, for many of our LGBTQ folks in many areas of the country right now. Yeah, it is awful. I agree with exactly that. How many rainbow-tastic families like mine are fleeing to areas like this? I believe that as Unitarian Universalists, holding our rainbow flag high, holding it proudly, is not just important, it is vital. Our willingness to be truly welcoming, that is to be curious and compassionate and continue learning and growing and not put up with bullshit, right? That hurts people, right? Not put up with the nonsense and instead keep calling each other into courage, into doing what is right, even when that's awkward or hard, can be not just life-changing, but life-saving. For example, and to be really bleak about it, and I'm going to talk about suicidal ideation for a moment, so breathe with me. Trevor Project's 2020 National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health found that youth who reported having their pronouns respected by all or most of the people in their lives attempted suicide at half the rate of those who did not have their pronouns respected. Or if we flip that, the youth who did not have their pronouns respected by the people around them had double the suicidal ideation rate of those who did. Not respecting people's pronouns kills them. Okay? We've got the statistics on this. We know it's true. This is about people's lives. And then their 2021 study found that youth who had access to spaces that affirmed their sexual orientation and gender identity also reported lower rates of attempting suicide. So being a welcoming person or a welcoming congregation, being people who work toward that rainbow connection, it matters in real, concrete, life-saving ways. Pronouns aren't something that can be laughed off if we care about human life. If we care about human life, we cannot laugh off pronouns. They must be respected. They are key pieces of who a person is. And when someone tells us their pronouns, when someone outs themselves in that way, that's a gift. They are inviting us into their lives, into their circle of trust. And a gift like that should always be respected. As simple as that. Just like I hope we can respect our rainbow flags as they are changing, as they are shifting, these reminders that we are invited to be in solidarity with those who find themselves not just in the spotlight, but in the spaces between. The spaces between binary genders, between colonialist ideas of sexual orientations and preferences, between the cracks of what our society has deemed normal. For me, the rainbow, and the rainbow flag especially, is a symbol of all those who transgress, of all of us who move between, who do not fit in tidy binary boxes, who are not simply one thing or another, and all of us who rebel against narrow-minded hate. I invite you to rebel, to answer the call of love and hope, to be curious and challenge yourself to keep learning. You are needed. We are needed, not just somewhere over the rainbow, but here and now. May we be the rainbowy-tastic community, the land of all.
As Reverend Heather Christensen writes, Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in a few large congregations, numerous mid-sized congregations, and many, many small congregations. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of its members, each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources helps make that grand vision real. Individually and together, we are building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. There are lots of ways to make a gift to UUCSS to help make the grand vision of our faith and the emerging vision of our congregation real. If you are here in person, you can also place your offering in one of those offering plates as it's passed around in just a moment. The offering will now be gratefully given and received.
The song was written by someone named Allie Hills. She very generously put it online. It is an aid for people who are coming out if they need to do it in maybe a lighthearted, supportive way to someone that they care about. So you can think of this as like the singing telegram version of her internet video. So here we go. We're all the same, we just want to belong. So let me explain in the form of a song. Well, you're about to find out, got news to share. So sit yourself down, get yourself prepared. If this is hard to hear, then you should hit replay, 'cause I can guarantee it's harder for them to say. Whoever sent you this told me to say hello, give you a hug and kiss, and almost also wanted you to know they're gay. And today is the day that you're finding out, because they're happy this way. Gay, because there's no reason, love's always in season, and love is love. Ooh, love is love.
Love is love.
Ooh, love is love. We're all the same, we just want to belong. So if you are ashamed of them, then move along, 'cause the world is changing for the better, you'll see. Embrace the grace of sexuality, 'cause everyone has a view, but there is not a cure. Don't say that they're confused, 'cause when you're gay, you are really sure. If you were sent this song by someone that you care about, then you should clap along, 'cause it's their way of coming out. They're gay, and today is the day that they're finding out, because they're happy this way. Gay, gay because there's no reason, love's always in season, and love is love. Ooh, love is love.
Love is love.
Ooh, love is love. They could have robbed a bank or stolen a car, but all they've done is love who they are, and they want you to love them back. How can you be mad at that? They're allowed to be proud, so let them sing it aloud. They're gay, and today is the day that you're finding out, because they're happy this way. Gay, gay because there's no reason, love's always in season, and love is love. Ooh, love is love. You can sing it along. Ooh, love is love. One more time. Ooh, love is love. Life is better when you remember that love is love.
Good morning. My name is Tamara Bowman, and I am a member of the board. My pronouns are she, her. We gather in person and on Zoom for worship every Sunday morning here at UUCSS. But our church is not only the organization that puts together these services, We are a vibrant collective of volunteers and staff. We are part of the wider Silver Spring community. We are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association and part of the global UU denomination. Today we have 2 announcements. Today, Green Sanctuary invites you to stop by their table in the courtyard during coffee hour to learn about fall garden cleanup and keeping wildlife in mind. Second, next Sunday, October 8th, wear your gardening clothes to church and bring a trowel. After church, help plant 1,000 native pollinator plants in our pollinator garden along Oak Lawn Drive. That's it. Thank you.
There's 3. There's another one. I don't know why it isn't included. We have a 101 today after the service. Okay? So you are.
Okay, that's,
What is that? UUCSS 101. If you're a visitor or a person who's come for a long time and have questions about the church, ask them. Myself and our board president, Catherine Butler.
yep.
We're going to be meeting right back here in the silly sun.
Okay, there are 3 announcements. UUCSS 101 for anybody who wants to attend in the back. See Mary Ellen.
Please join me in the words of chalice extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
So for all of us, let's sing number 170. We are a gentle and angry people by Holly Near. Would you rise in body or in spirit? And this is an incredible song, I must say. Very apropos of the sermon as well. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. Justice seeking. We are a justice seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are justice seeking people, for our lives. We are
May we be the gentle, loving, angry people that our world, that our beloveds need right now, facing into the discomfort of this moment, seeing each other and ourselves with courage and compassion, being the Unitarian Universalists. I know we can be the Unitarian Universalist community like the one I grew up in, that showed me in so many ways again and again that I could be who I am. Be the adults who can show our youth through how you live and how you treat them, that they can be themselves, that they are safe and they are loved among us. May we be a place of safety, of love, of care for the vulnerable among us. Gay and straight, young and old together. Ourselves together. May we be fierce and rainbow-tastic, ready to make the land of all real for each other again and again, ready to embrace the spaces between. So in closing, I offer you these words by my dear colleague, the Reverend David Breeden. The road not taken is not a fork. That's too simple a thought, flipping some coin. Either or, nope. It's not this or that, no or yes. It's nor neither in all of the above and more. The road taken goes every way at once. There, they, them. Go now. Live. Blessed be.
Powerful and fun. This is a song that you can also find on the internet, written by two people, Corinne Savage and Olivia Barton, and they go by the name Koruk. I suggest that you look it up. It is a wonderful, wonderful song called If I Were a Fish. Here we go. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish shimmering in the sun. Such a rare one, can't believe that you caught one. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, heaviest in the sea. You'd win first prize if you caught me. Why is everybody on the internet so mean? Why is everybody so afraid of what they've never seen? If I was scrolling through and I saw me flopping around and singing my song, I'd say, dang, they're cute, and sing along. If I were a rock, you would pick me up and say, that's a nice rock, skippiest on the lake. Plop, 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 I'm the perfect shape. And if I were a sock, you would put me on and say, that's a nice sock, happiest as a pear. I found you, now I'm not scared. Why is everybody on the internet so mean? Why is everybody so afraid of what they've never seen? If I was scrolling through and I saw me flopping around and singing my song, I'd say, dang, they're cute, and sing along. How lucky are we, of all the fish in the sea? You get to be you, I get to be me. Just let them be mean. We're as free as can be to be the youest of you and the meest of me. If I were a fish, if I were a fish, if I were a fish, if I were a fish.